because like you can't even
Welcome back
see.
in another
Which I guess
video
that's kind of
playing
the point. You
Roblox
can
as
get
watching
away. What's the
YouTube.
point in like hiding on
Heck
in the
yeah.
game, right? I mean, you're here to fight, not run away like Batman, right? And I mean,
Yeah,
pretty much
that's
other than putting out fires, there's not really a good use for this thing. He doesn't do any damage, and that's
gonna
kind of
watch
what I'd want a
upstairs.
utility to do. Like the flame, the flame utilities, like the Molotov is really good, or you know, like a grenade or
watch,
something like
guys.
that. That's kind of what I'd want a utility for, either damage or movement. And this doesn't offer either of those, which kind of sucks. Even if this is in the last place, it does have its certain case uses.
I don't
should say
know.
certain use cases. I think that's the way the phrase
Either
goes.
gonna
So
watch
it's not
me or
completely
the other
useless, but I just
video.
feel like every other utility in the game offers more to be
I
had.
want auto wants to.
D-tier utilities are the ones you almost never want to pick. They're weak, they're unreliable,
gonna
and they're
play
usually a much
while
better option
I'm watching
available in
and
the
you
same
guys
category.
watching.
Sometimes you run into a weird strategy
You
where one of
guys
these actually
watch
works,
me
but that's more
or
of an
watch
exception
them.
than the rule.
Okay,
If you're
sis,
using a
shut
D-tier
up.
utility, you're holding yourself back a little bit. And first up in the D tier, we have the jump pad. This is definitely a movement utility, but I feel like for a movement utility, it doesn't really offer that much. It can have its good use cases, like you compare this with a chainsaw and you can fly pretty far. But looking at it in a standalone perspective, it's not all that great of a utility. There's definitely better options out there, but I feel like it's not quite F tier. At least it doesn't deserve to be an F tier, because it actually does have some benefits. Like I said, you can use this with like a chainsaw or some other movement melee to, you know, get some actual use out of this thing. I know they got buffed in the most recent update, so they're slightly better now. The main problem for me is that when you jump on this thing, you don't really jump all that high with it. You can slide into it and go a little bit farther, but at the same time, it's like if you're sliding into it to go farther, you might as well just use a grenade and just do a grenade jump. I just feel like there's definitely better utilities out there. Don't get me wrong, the jump pad, it's decent, and it has its, like I said, it has its specific use cases, and it can be good in some people's hands, but I just feel like in general, it's not the best utility out there. There's definitely better options, and sometimes I'm a little disappointed with this thing. When this first came out, I was a little sad at how high you could actually jump with this thing. I thought it would be a little bit higher. I thought it would be like the jump pads in the shooting range, although it's not quite that powerful. In fact, it's probably good that it's not that powerful, because the shooting range jump pads are pretty crazy. C-tier utilities are very situational. Most of the time you'll wonder why you even bothered picking them up. They can work if your entire team is building around them, or if the enemy makes mistakes that play into their strengths. But overall they're clunky, inconsistent, and often not worth the slot. These are the definition of meh. And first up in the C2, we have the flashbang. The flashbang definitely has, like I said, it's like most of the utilities. It has its special use cases, but I just feel like it lacks a little bit in the damage department, because, I mean, you can't really do damage with this unless you hit them directly with the utility, which almost never happens, right? It's good for blinding people, like, watch this. Oh, I missed, hold on. You gotta throw it directly up in the air, and then boom, you're blind, wow. So it can be good, especially in matches to where there's, like, more than one people playing on the enemy team, because then you can blind multiple people at the same time, and then it's, you know, it's a little easier to kill them for like 3 seconds. But like I said, it has its special use cases, but I just feel like if you're looking for a utility that helps with damage and movement, this isn't exactly the utility to pick. Now if you're playing against a bunch of people, like, these things go pretty crazy on team deathmatch, especially if like your entire team just bands together and throws these in the sky. The enemy team will be stuck in the spawn just looking at the ground for like 3 seconds. Well, not just 3 seconds, more like 3 minutes, not gonna lie. They'll be terrified to look in the sky because they don't know when the next flashbang is gonna be thrown at them. Yeah, these things are pretty unique. I'm not really a huge fan of this utility. I don't really use it all that much unless if the other team's using them against me, but yeah, it is what it is. I don't think this thing should be any higher than C tier.
Are you kidding me? Bro, done with the ads, bro. I don't have YouTube Premium. Kitty! He's in the trash can. Kitty! Kitty! Watch more on TikTok. What do they do?
Next up, we have the freeze ray. The funny thing to me is I'm just now realizing this. Most of the other utilities are based off, you know, like an actual thing in real life. I don't think the freeze ray actually exists, so that's pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of Gru from Despicable Me. Now, this is pretty cool. I think this is a little more useful than the flashbang for the sole purpose that you can freeze somebody and then they'll be stuck, and then you can just walk up to them and use like the shorty or the knife or something that can one-hit them. Because yeah, this thing kind of makes people helpless. You know what I mean? You can just freeze people and then instantly two-tap them in the head with the shorty or backstab them with the knife, right? So this thing can be super, super good, but if you miss your shot, because it travels kind of slow, if you miss your shot, then, well, you're dead, pretty much. If you miss your shot, you wasted your utility slot, pretty much. You can also use, like, sniper or just whatever and obliterate people with this thing. B-tier utilities are good, but they're not must picks. They'll have moments where they shine, and in the right hands or the right situation, they can even feel like A-tier. The problem is they're just not as universally strong, so you're banking on specific situations for them to pay off. Think of B-tier as solid but replaceable. Story of my life, am I right? Now, the cool thing about satchels is that not only can you use it for movement like this, which, I mean, I actually did really bad right there. You can use this thing to get across the entire map if you're actually good, but, you know, I suck at this game, you know. Not only can you do that with the satchels, you can get across the entire map. The thing with the satchels is that you can, you can use all three to instantly kill somebody, right? I know there's like a certain situation where it does 50 damage and a certain situation where it does 30. I don't exactly know, so I'm sorry about that. But I know I've seen videos of people like throwing all three satchels on their teammate and having their teammate run over to the enemy and it just instantly kills them. Because then, like, you know, each satchel does 50 damage. I think maybe it's in the air they do 30. I think that's the kicker with this. Like, they have to be on the ground. They have to be set and ready to go. They have to be attached to something to do 50 damage. I think that's what it is, but I'm not 100% sure. Someone let me know in the comments. So that's the cool thing about the satchel. I think it's a pretty good utility. You just kind of have to know what you're doing with it, and then it can be like extremely good. You can even like trap like a certain area of the map, like place all three satchels in one spot, wait for somebody to walk over it, and then just kill them, you know? Yeah, the satchels, they're pretty cool, but there's some better options out there. A-tier utilities are just a step below the best, but still incredible picks. You'll never feel bad about bringing one of these along because they almost always provide value. While they might not be completely swing around like S-tier options, they're versatile and dependable enough to be considered staples. If you want consistency without relying on broken tools, A-tier is where you'll look. Next up, we've got the Molotov. This is most people's like favorite utility. Either this or grenade is what I see the most. And the Molotov, it's very good for damage. But like I said, I'm kind of personally looking for a mix between damage and movement. So the Molotov, it's very damage focused, right? The good thing about the Molotov though is that you don't have like a set number of these. You can just keep throwing them as much as you want. There is a little cooldown. Like if I throw one of these, you have a little timer cooldown there. But once that runs out, you can throw another one. And there's no real cap to how many of these you can throw. I mean, good luck throwing like more than 2 of these before the game ends, right? Because, you know, Rivals is a pretty fast game. But if the game's, you know, pretty slow, you might end up throwing 3 or 4 of these. And of course, the only real counter to this is the smoke grenade, which a lot of people don't even really use anyway, so it's like, yeah, it's whatever. But I think the Molotov is a very good utility, but I hate playing against it, right? I just think when I'm looking for movement, I'm kind of looking for something else. Now, you don't necessarily have to have good movement in your utility. You can have, like, good damage or good movement or one or the other. But I think the best utilities kind of have a mix of both, and the Molotov's just kind of lacking some sort of movement help, I guess. Yeah, the Molotov is pretty fun, very annoying to play against, and you're going to tick off a lot of players when you use this thing, not gonna lie. Next up in the A-tier, we have the Warhorn. The Warhorn's very good because, well, you can just zoom across the map like that. You can just pretty much go from your spawn to the enemy spawn like as soon as the game starts, and that's the good thing about the Warhorn. It does have a little cooldown, but the good thing about this is that it also affects the rest of your teammates. So if one teammate runs Warhorn, you all get the effect of the speed boost. Almost like a splash potion from Minecraft, right? Yeah, the Warhorn's super super good for movement. You use it at the start of the game and then you go super fast, right? And that's the thing that I like about the Warhorn. It's super good for that. I don't think you can deal damage with this thing, like, at all. Like, you can't hit anybody with this, so no damage on this thing, which is the one thing that kind of sucks. Like I said, when I want a utility, I'm kind of looking for damage and movement, and this one just provides movement, which is the good thing. I don't know why there's somebody spectating me, but okay. There's somebody in my private server, I guess. Yeah, Warhorn, super cool. These are the absolute kings of Roblox Rivals utilities. If you've got one of these in your loadout, you're really upping your odds of winning every round. They're consistent, reliable, and in some cases so strong that they can carry an entire strat on their own. S2 utilities aren't just good, they kind of define the meta, right?
Grabe, ang mura lang pala na itong LED flasher lights na to. Tapos ito nga pala yung mabilis mag-blink. At dahil mura nga lang siya, pinili ko na lahat ng kulay para anytime na gusto ko magpalit, makakapagpalit ako.
What is he
Marami siyang
saying?
available na mga kulay. Pwede mo rin piliin yung normal na ilaw na hindi nagpiblink at saka itong fast blinking na to. Madalas ko nga ito makita sa mga mapopormang motor sa kaya mga nakasetup. Akala ko ang mahal-mahal nito, 21 pesos lang pala. Kaya kung gusto mo rin ng ganitong LED flasher lights, ha,
And next up we have the grenade. The grenade is very good for movement if you can use it right. Like, I'll give a little example right here. We have like a little ramp here. We can just do this. Boom. Fly in the air. Yay! But this thing can also do very good damage if, you know, you throw it in the right spot. Nothing crazy, but, you know, it's decent damage for what it is. This also has a cooldown on it, but the cooldown I think is like notably shorter than the rest of them. But once you master the grenade jump, this thing becomes much better. The only thing though is that, like, it takes some getting used to, right? You have to kind of know what you're doing to use the grenade jump properly. You have to time it, like, not exactly perfectly, but you have to time it pretty well in order to jump across the map like I did earlier. It takes some getting used to, but once you get it down, this is definitely one of the best utilities, and that's what I like about the grenade. It's very good. Next up we have the med kit, and the med kit can be super OP because, like, it's the only healable item in the game, right? If you get shot, if you don't have this thing, then that damage is, you know, that damage is damage, right? You can't get it back. So once you have the med kit, you know, you can heal up, and that's the good thing about the med kit. I mean, I don't know what else to really say about it, right? It's the only healable utility in the game, and that's why it's S tier, right? And you can use this thing, right, like if you want to hide out for like the rest of the game, right? Like, say if you want to like hide down here and wait up the time so that you can win the match, and, you know, maybe you've taken a couple hits, you can heal up to max HP, and if the other enemy hasn't healed up either, then you win the match just based off damage, which I think that's a pretty cool update. It used to always end in a stalemate, and I think they did that, I don't know when they made that change, but it was several months ago, to where you can win off damage rather than kills. Pretty cool. And the med kit, you know, it's the one utility that helps you do that. But when you want to like hide out and win the match, you can't really do that on any maps other than, like, you know, like Crossroads, which I'm on right now. You can't do that on like Arena because it's such a small map and there's no hiding spot. But when you have hiding spots, that strategy becomes pretty useful. And you also have this really cool med kitty skin. Definitely one of my favorite skins in the entire game. I think it's very cool. And of course, coming up in the S tier, we have the Subspace Trip Mine. Like I said earlier, when I'm looking for a utility with both movement and damage, the cool thing about this is that when you use the Subspace Trip Mine, if somebody steps on it, it does 149 damage, right? Which, that makes them one shot, right? Because you have 150 HP, that would leave them at 1 HP. I know in my previous utility video, I didn't know exactly how much damage the Subspace Trip Mine did, but it is 149. Thank you, comments, for that one. But yeah, like I just showed with the Scythe, you can use this thing for movement really well. You can Scythe dash into it like that, or you can just simply jump on top of it and then jump in the air. So not only does this thing almost one-shot the enemy, but you can also jump across the map with it. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. And that's why I like the Subspace Trip Mine so much. I know a lot of people like to poop on me for liking this thing so much, but I genuinely think this is the best utility in the game. It is kind of a pay to win, kind kind of a pay to win utility, right? Because it's part of the classic bundle, so you have to pay some Robux to get this, or God forbid if you grind it out with keys. I know some people actually do that. I didn't think very many people actually did that, but when I say like, oh, who actually does that, right? I get comments saying like, oh, I do that. So yeah, if you have the grind to gain all the keys and buy this thing yourself, then good for you, I guess. But not me. I bought everything with Robux. So yeah, Subspace Trip Mine, very very good. If you have it, I'd recommend using it more. It's very OP. Just give it a shot. I'm sure you won't regret it. Subscribe for more Rivals videos just like this.
Paano gumawa ng ganitong mga litratong may magandang vibe gamit ang AI? I-download lang ang Dola at sapat na. Hayaan mo ipakita ko sa'yo. Buksan ang Dola, tapang i-edit ang larawan, mag-upload ng litrato, at makakakuha ka na ng ganitong sunset na litratong parang mula sa pelikula. Pwede mo rin i-edit at i-optimize pa. Libre at walang limitasyon sa bilang ng paggamit mo. Tara, maglikha tayo ng magkasama.
Daddy, why am I blindfolded? Because, Jeffy, we have a big old plate of ice cream in front of you with chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. So I want you to take a bite and guess the flavor. Yummy! Yummy! Yeah, so take a big old spoonful of ice cream. Alright. Are you sure it's not green beans? No, it's ice creams. Eat it. Alright. I better be safe than sorry. Jeffy, why would you do that? Let me see if I was right. No. Well, Johnny, eat your green beans right now. I want pizza. You're not eating pizza. You eat those green beans off the ground. Come on, baby. Well, I'm gonna make my own pizza. Open the box. Take the pizza out. Put it in there. Open up the oven. That sound means it's cooking.
Marvin, I think it was really mean that you lied and told Jeffy green beans was ice cream.
Goodbye guys. See you in another video. Bye.